I still believed I could have contributed in a strong way to that team and that club. If things were different or went different for me, I believe I would have stayed for another year.
It's okay though, isn't it? I mean, failure is okay because that's where you find your...
Not at the time, it's not. It's horrible, let me tell you. It's horrible.
You know, whether that moment against Chelsea, if that hadn't happened and you'd won the Premier League that season, I wonder whether you would be a manager now.
So do I.
I don't think you would necessarily. What do you think?
Hey everyone, it's Jake here. Listen, before we get going, most people that watch our videos don't subscribe. If you subscribe, we make the channel huge, we get incredible names, and it's great for you. So before you watch, hit subscribe right now. Thank you so much.
Of all of the things that happen in your career, shall I tell you the thing that I think about when I think about you as a leader? It isn't lifting the trophies, it isn't sort of the big lows or the big highs. It is when John Arne misses his penalty in the Champions League final. And as he walks back to the group, you're the first one to break away from the line of players and put your arm around him straight away and comfort him. And you are on the verge of missing out on your greatest moment as a player because of what he's just done. Thankfully,
yeah, because I think as well as I think you've got to be a good person as well. I think you know, football's emotions, and you know, different things happen. It's not just all the good things that you see on the TV. People have feelings, and you get to know people, you build relationships, and you know how much they want it as much as you. There's been many occasions where I've done stuff that's not really to do with football or on the pitch that have made me feel just as proud as going up and lifting a trophy. Like, for example, when tournaments with England haven't gone well, and you know that the whole group are about to be battered from pillar to post, and you've had to step forward and do a press conference and take a lot of the responsibility and the blame. And there's a lot of things that come with leadership, and it's not just the walking up to lift trophies and getting the credit and getting a 9 out of 10. And
were they conscious decisions though, or when in that John Arne moment, did you actually consciously think, right, he's going to be really upset with that, I'm going to go speak to him? Was it all?
I want to be there. I want to be there for him. I want to show him that. I'm not just on his back when he puts it in the top corner from 40 yards. I'm there for him when he's at his lowest moments as well. And I think that's when you get respected as a leader, when you are there for your teammates in the good and the bad times and the indifferent times. And I think as a manager, I want to be there for me players. You know, players are human beings. They've got kids, they've got families, they've got emotions, they're going through different things. No one can control what's in the future. I think a big thing for me at Rangers, certainly in the first few months, was to show these that, yeah, okay, I've been Steven Gerrard, I've had a good career, but this is the start of a new journey as a manager, and it's not just about demanding the best out of them in terms of a ball at the feet. It's to be there for them as well, for everything. Give them support when they need it, maybe when they're not having a good time. And I think
what's your advice to people who find it difficult to put themselves at the front and take pressure for everyone else around them?
Well, I think you get to know the individuals. All individuals are different. They have different levels of talent. They bring different strengths. They're different characters. They're different people, different humans. I think over time you have to get used to them, and you have to try and get the best out of that individual. But you have to realise that one individual is completely different to the other. Some people manage themselves. I'll give you an example. Stephen Davis. He comes into work, his standards are the same every day. His diet, his body weight, his attitude, his energy. He manages himself. I have to give him very little. Very little. Then the other scale, we've got younger players who are new, they're brand new, they're still finding themselves, they're still shaping themselves as a player, as a human, blah, blah. He needs more of my time, he needs more 1v1 chat, he needs more guidance, more help, more support. It's getting to know what does that individual need and trying to, you know, support them in the best way you can.
Can I ask you then about some of the examples you talk about, some of these younger people, and just switch it a little bit? Given the sort of rich career and the experiences you've had, what do you teach your children from that? What's the most important lessons that you take from that career and pass on to your kids?
Basically, what the one-liners that I got when I was at their age. I've got obviously 3 girls and a little boy at the moment who's only 3, but with the girls, it's very much be honest and be respectful. 2 very important things for me, but you normally get out of life what you put in. So whatever you decide to be, there's no pressure on my kids. You know, they don't have to be footballers. They don't have to love football. It's them finding out what they want to do, what they want to be, and me giving them the support and stuff. But basically, letting them know that they'll normally get out of life what they put in. You know, if you make sacrifice, if you work hard, if you're good to people, normally things work out.
Do you let them fail at things? Because one of the issues with modern parenting is we make sure our kids are great at everything all the time, and not learning to fail is a really dangerous lesson because...
People think it's a dangerous lesson, but from my experience, I think sometimes failure helps you to become better.
Oh, yeah, and I'm saying a lot of people don't
1,000,000%.
let their kids fail. Do you allow yours to fail and to struggle at things to learn how the world really is? It's not an easy one as a parent.
I don't want them to fail.
Yeah.
But depending on what the failure was and blah, 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 and how they felt about it, I think it'd depend on how I reacted to it. But if I had a chat to them about it, sometimes getting stuff wrong and making mistakes and failing at something could help you in the big picture and in the long run.
What's your approach to failure?
Analyse, reflect, work out how and why, and go again to make it better.
But it's okay though, isn't it? I mean, failure is okay because that's where you find your...
Not at the time, it's not. It's been horrible, let me tell you. It's horrible, but it's happened. It's about dealing with it.
Yeah.
Analysing, reflecting and finding the answers and deciding whether you want to go and do it again. But I'm up for a challenge. I'm not scared of failure, even though I know that it stays with me for a long time. I'm someone who is driven and wants to challenge myself again.
I wonder, you know, whether that moment against Chelsea, if that hadn't happened and you'd won the Premier League that season, I wonder whether you would be a manager now.
So do I.
I don't think you would necessarily.
That's your opinion. But
What do you think? Because you would have won everything.
It's a good debate.
Done everything.
But I think missing that buzz of winning and competing and that routine, that daily routine of wanting to win, and you know, I'm not sure I could have went from the age of 36, 37 for the rest of my life without some kind of drive to compete and win.
So can I ask you then, like, given how that moment from 2014 still lives with you that you've referenced, how did you feel watching Liverpool win it this year? Was there a part of you that was envious, jealous?
No, not one bit.
Honestly?
Not one bit.
So how did you process it then?
I felt like part of me healed more than
Did it?
any of them
Because?
feelings. Just because I know not only did it hurt me, it hurt a lot of people who had followed this club for many, many years and they work on a daily basis. Liverpool fans commit themselves to that club and they work every day. They love the club, it's in the heart. I've lived there for 20 years. I'm more. I knew what that meant, that Premiership, to an awful lot of people. And my own family, to me, I mean, the way the club were with me during that time, which will remain private, during that run-in to win the Premier League, it was special how that club was with me.
Do you think that's because they were aware of how big it was?
What it meant to me and what I'd probably been through, and they listen to interviews and you've still got the relationships with all them people and stuff. But no, I think a lot of people were probably wondering whether I was jealous, but I just, nah.
So can I ask you a question about that game specifically? Because I want to almost tackle a bit of a myth, and I don't know if it's true or not, that there was a story that one of the techniques that Brendan Rodgers was using at the time was reading out letters from loved ones before a game
Yeah,
to
that was
let
true.
you know
That was true.
how important it was. And before that game, it was letters from your family that had taught, and whether that tipped you over the edge emotionally that day, that it was almost you were trying too hard, you were too eager.
Are you talking about the City game or the actual Chelsea game?
Well, all in that running, but I think it's a Chelsea.
I can't remember the exact game my family thing was read out, but it was certainly towards the latter stages.
But did that help, or did that tip you over the edge emotionally?
I used to like it. I like that technique because I think he really pulled on your heartstrings before games, and he'd done it probably for the majority of them games that season. Yeah. He picked a different player, and
clever, I think.
It was very clever, and I liked the way he done it in secret to people. That I think it was brilliant. And there's different ways and techniques how to get the best out of people. I'm not sure whether mine was on that day. I couldn't really answer that question to you, to be honest. But talking about, did I get too emotional in that running? 100%. Because I look at the reaction after the City game and blah, 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 and for sure, yeah. Because it meant so much.
Was there also a bit of fear around at that time for you with the fact that your Liverpool career was coming to an end and you having to face up to that? Or was fear never an emotion around that?
I'm not sure fear is the right word. There was definitely an awareness that I wasn't the player I was probably 3-4 years earlier. Obviously, I'd changed position and I was adapting as a midfielder, if you like, and becoming a little bit more reserved and a deep lying midfielder, whatever. People have different terms for it, quarterback, playmaker, whatever. I knew I wasn't the maraud and full of energy, jump round and go and press and get in people's face. I knew I weren't that type of player. And I knew I was aware of my age and stuff, but I still believed I could have contributed in a strong way to that team and that club. And I think if them situations, Madrid away, Man United at home, I think if things were different or went different for me, I believe I would have stayed for another year.
Hey guys, it's Jake here. Listen, before you go, please do me just one favour. Hit subscribe. It makes such a difference to us. The more subscribers we get, then the bigger the channel becomes. The bigger the channel becomes, the bigger the names we can attract and the more impact we can have for you. So thanks for watching and please subscribe right now.